can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me. And I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
How we doing, FTLive? Maybe it's like finance territory live today, talking about Shohei's money coming up in just a sec. But first off, and Adam, welcome back to the party, man. It's good to see you. We're going to find out where you are. Don't tell anyone yet, but I just wanted everyone to know that today is AJ Pierzynski's birthday.
Apparently. It's not, though, but apparently on Twitter it was. I don't know what happened.
What?
You know, everyone's calling it Tom Brady Day. Yeah, he ain't nothing. So people are putting this out there today. And, I was getting random texts from people saying, happy birthday. And I'm like, it's not my birthday. So I put it out there for Twitter, and everyone's like, we know it's 12/12. I'm like, I understand that, people, but when you're getting random texts from people that you think should know your birthday, and they're like, oh, dude, I missed your birthday. Happy birthday. I'm like, no, bro. Don't be dumb. Google it, Wikipedia it, whatever you need to do. But it's not my birthday, but appreciate the love from the White Sox community.
This is good exposure, though, to friends and maybe some fam that don't know your actual birthday, because the fans are just doing it because of the number.
Of course.
Who else do they do that for? So they do that for Brady. Have you seen them do that? Do you have that, Jonesy?
No. I mean, I think the Orioles tweeted about it being my birthday. Besides that, I don't think nobody knows it.
The number, sometimes they'll do the number, I guess, where it's like, oh, it's 5-8. It's number
August 1st. That's like
Giants' birthday.
8-1 is not really. I don't think those numbers. That's a wide receiver. It's not really common to see. Like
it would be cool though.
It
would be cool though if my birthday was 12/12 and then I had number 12. That would be kind of cool.
It would,
but sadly, it's not.
Oh wow. Well, happy birthday, AJ.
Yeah.
And Adam.
And by the way, don't call it Brady Day. He played football. We're not allowed to talk about football. It's my
You're
day
right.
from now on.
For baseball, it's Pierzynski Day, which is also way easier to pronounce. Adam, let's find out. Is he in the woods? Is he overseas? Is he sneaking around the Grand Canyon?
That's not the Grand Canyon.
What is it?
Isn't it Jordan?
Where are you?
Right now, I am in Venice. We booked a last-minute trip to go on the Orient Express. So me and my wife are going to get all debonair in a suit and tie and go on the Orient Express from Venice to Paris tomorrow. It's going to be like 18 hours or something like that on the train. The previous weeks we were in Maldives and did Istanbul with the kids. So this is just a little one-on-one and go and be very debonair going from Venice to Paris.
I love it.
It's going to be exciting.
Fancy. We need pictures posted. So please keep
Definitely will.
Yes. Thank you.
But it's crazy. You should have seen this morning, though. We got in here, and I don't know if you've been to Venice, about the tide. It was high tide this morning. So I sent video to Mark, and it's just showing him that, we had to like high step it to get into our hotel because it was obviously everything's on the rivers, the whatever they call them, waterways. And we couldn't even get into our room until we had to high step it. So I messed up my Travis Scott's a little bit, but you know what? They're just shoes.
Adam, I was there a couple years ago for that. I was there the day before we left, though. And we left. They had all the furniture on the tables, and they had all the walkways that are like 3 foot up out of the water.
Yep.
And we left, and then the next day I went online and looked at the cameras in like St. Mark's and all that and all the places. And it was like knee-high water, and everyone's just trudging through it. I'm like, damn, can't they put up like something to stop this water from coming all the way in? But I guess it's just the way it is because Venice is sinking and the waters are raising, and I don't know, something.
They said they're building waterways and building aqueducts and all this other stuff. I don't know. It was beautiful.
Well, if you think that's difficult to explain, let's charge the damn amount. Erik Kratz, Mr. Moneyman, you can explain to the world the way the finances break down for Shohei Ohtani, which has come out in the last 24 hours. I'll get the easy stuff out of the way. It's really, for the next 10 years, $20 million, so $2 million a year, which obviously is what a superstar deserves, $2 million a year. And we are charging the damn amount, powered by our friends over at Teza. Check out the code on the bottom of your screen right now for 20% off. So, Kratz, after that, he is going to start raking in a lot of money, as in $68 million a year from 2034 to 2043. Go wherever you want to go, but in baseball terms, for simplistic purposes, the Dodgers are going to have some money to spend on the short term.
They are. I think the total is $46 million. That's going to go against the CBT. And I have read more about Shohei Ohtani's contract than I have any other contract besides my own minor league deals that I signed. But the more I read, the less I understand how this contract works. He's technically only getting $2 million per year, but against the CBT, it is $46 million. And so the actual value is $46 million a year. But then when him and Mookie are 50 years old, they're both going to be making like $79 million, something like that, to play golf and not play baseball anymore.
Yeah, but they're sacrificing money in the beginning to get money later on. And that money later on does not have the same value. They call it net present value, right? So the present value of the contract is about $460 million. So if you don't care about what Shohei Ohtani's finances look like when he's like 48 years old and beyond and whatever, AJ, for most baseball fans, it's, hey, 10 years, $460 million bucks. Okay. You don't have to get into all the fancy schmancy stuff with the numbers.
You do, because
Why?
here's the thing. Well, no, listen to me. The agency, I forget, is he CAA? I think he is. Who's his agency, CAA?
Yes.
They did a great job of getting 10 years, 700 out there, right? So people are like, holy shit, 10 years, 700. And then people started digging into what the contract actually is. And yeah, the 700 is a 700, but there's not a lot of guys in any walk of life that would say, give me 68 million later, only give me 2 for 10 years. But Shohei makes so much off the field, that's kind of like to him, right? But he'll still get his money down the road. This is smart, though, and every team you talk to and every person that has talked to teams that were interested in Shohei, he did this to every team. And I don't want to hear that the Dodgers are breaking rules or doing that. They're playing they just are smarter. I mean, heck, if the Pirates could have got Shohei for 2 years or for 10 years, $20 million and given him $680 over the next 10, they probably would have tried it. Why not? Because Bob Nutting could have sold the team after 10 years, and then someone else could have paid Shohei the $680 he's owed. But this is an unbelievable contract. This is great, and it's a higher AAV than ever been given out. So don't tell me that they're cheating. They're still paying a lot, but it was nice for Shohei to help them get other players. And the best part is, 10 years from now, when he's not living in the U.S., he's not living in California, wherever he's living, he's going to be like, I saved like, I don't know, 30 to 40 million on taxes. So good for Shohei.
Bad for who's the biggest loser? We all know who the biggest loser.
California, the state of California.
Was it 85 million or something?
Sounds like it's
some
like
crazy
85
number.
$million that
Crazy
they're going to
number.
miss out on. It's a
Oh,
lot
man,
of tax
that's
money for them to
insane.
take. So,
well.
Jonesy, if you're in Shohei's position, do you think this is cool if this gets presented to you or you start talking this out? Because I'm sure deferral talk was in there, but then they took it to the extreme. But he's making $30+ million a year. He's made plenty of money. He seems like a pretty simple guy. And let's emphasize it more. He wants to win. Best way to win is to have your team save a lot of money on the short term so that they can go after more players to help you win.
I mean, I think the teams that have shown the best to win has been the Dodgers and the Braves and the Astros over the last, you're talking about the last 8-9 years. Those are the teams that you see in the playoffs every year. And, you know, it's just interesting. That deal I'm sure when you dig deep into it, it gets weirder and weirder. But just imagine what they're making off of him. Imagine LA, Tokyo. That is right now, you're talking, you know, you got the whole West Coast really. And then you have 100+ million people in Japan that are going to be vying to check out Shohei. The Dodgers, that like people kept saying, these Dodger dogs about to get $50. That ice cream that come in a helmet, that's going to be about $75. Everything's going to blow up. And like you said, I think the greatest part of the report is he presented this kind of scenario to everybody because he wants to win. So if everybody had the opportunity, if he presented it to everybody, I know Cohen came out and said that he was never reached out by any agents or anything. Who knows? But if he presented it to everybody in this way, then everybody had a fair chance, because if he's saving you money right now, again, you're going to make so much money, put it in escrow and pay him later. That's just how these big businesses do it. We all know that. So, Dodgers are going to make probably $2 billion off of $700 million projected.
Hell yeah.
I think every team had the opportunity. Maybe not that much of an upside, because certain teams don't have the Japanese market. You can't force the Japanese market on certain cities. But LA, that fits, and it's going to be crazy. And, it's just going to be crazy for the next 10 years. But I want to see, I think somebody said it, it's going to be the first time Shohei's going to get booed. Dodgers get booed. No one booed the Angels because you knew you were going to beat them. Shohei and Mike Trout go deep, you still going to beat them. Shohei going to get booed. And how does he handle that?
Jonesy, I got a question for you. When you would cross home plate after your home run, what was your celebration? What would you do?
I tapped my left arm for my mother and my grandmother.
Okay. You know what Shohei did after he signed the contract? He was like, the Dodgers don't have a patch right here. Shohei did the Adam Jones. He tapped. They're going to sell that patch for whatever the current day value of this contract is. And people are going to be lining up for it. Japanese companies are going to be lining up for it. LA companies. I read an article that said it's possible he's going to make over $50 million himself off of the field this year. And the team, so if he makes that, one individual person makes that, what do you think Adam Jones's home run celebration is going to pay?
Insane.
Crazy.
Insane. And he's great. But he fits the mold of baseball. Like, you were talking about expansion of baseball. You've seen the Baseball United. You see the winter balls. Like, you see the expansion of baseball. Who better to do it right now? I know that some of our American guys didn't really want to take the reins of it, and for great reason. So they want to be just private and quiet. It seems like he's really interested in growing this game. Obviously, him playing in the WBC, he said he wanted to play again. So, like, this is monumental, and we can look at how big the contracts are. Again, Soto's going to be in the $400 million soon, so we're going to be talking about that soon. But I think it's just great that, he wants to be that guy. He wants to be the face of the game. And, when you're the best player and you want to do it, I think it's just a perfect match. And he's going to a fantastic market. So, again, we just shall see if the Dodgers win. I know that all the bettings have bet MGM. I know they've been circling and going crazy with all these bets going on for the Dodgers, but they still gonna have to play between the lines.
You're right.
So Adam, I want to know. He wants to be the face of baseball. He doesn't do press conferences. He doesn't talk. They barely did a thing for his MVP. Technical difficulties. He didn't answer any questions. I mean, explain to me how he wants to be the face of baseball when he doesn't talk to the media. Yeah, I want to be the face of baseball too. If I don't have to talk to reporters, I get paid $50 million a year off the field. I just signed for $700 million. Sure, I'd love to be the face if I don't have to talk to media and I don't have to deal with any of that stuff. I mean, he only talks on days he pitches. So, now he's not pitching this year. So is he going to talk to the media? We haven't had a press conference yet about the Dodgers.
True.
So, does he really want to be the face of or does he just want to get paid and win? I mean, that's the greatest thing in sports. If you can just get paid and win and not have to deal with some of the bullshit.
I think he was able to hide in Anaheim. I think he was able to hide in Anaheim. There was, he was able to be with Trout and just be like, hey, we don't have to, our media is cool here. Our media is not LA. They're not the Dodgers media. I think the Dodgers media is going to ask him different questions and tougher questions and cornering. Doesn't matter how much you're making. If you are struggling in LA or you're doing good, doesn't matter. We want to talk to you. We need to get sound bites. We need that. So I think it will be a change being in LA. I just think that being in Anaheim, he was able to control everything. And again, he's still going to have immense control. But I think in Anaheim, he was able to control everything. And, by not having I should say, aggressive media as LA and New York's and Chicago's might have, then, he was able to just, skate on a little bit. But I think that in LA, there's going to be situations where you just can't escape the media. You just can't do that in LA. So And if you do, again, LA will call you out. And I just think that it might open them up a little bit. And, we might get to see Shohei, the person, maybe in the second ladder of his career. Who knows? Because not many people have gotten to know him yet. But hopefully, by being in LA for so long, and that city just brings out the brightness. Like, look at Mookie Betts. We all knew Mookie was a very talented, very charismatic guy, and very obviously talented in different off the field. He goes to LA. The guy is a freaking rock star. We knew that in Boston, but Boston keeps you a little quiet. He's a freaking rock star in LA, and that's just because LA is it's a different air out there.
What will players say about this contract? So, Kratz, remember how yesterday Max Muncy was like, yeah, we talked a little bit about the possibility of him being here, but most of the chatter with his teammates and peers in baseball this past year was, how much do you think Shohei's going to get? So what do you think they're saying to each other now? Do you think they're saying, whoa, that was a lot, but then not as much as I think? Do you think some of them are like, do you think anyone else would ever do this if they made a lot of money already? Juan Soto is going to be the next big free agent at that level. I mean, Yamamoto is going to get paid, but Soto is going to get paid. So do you think guys are going to talk about this and it could change the sport at all for some of the big market teams to defer money like this? Because it is, I want to keep clarifying, very different from the Harper contract, what we heard about Aaron Judge last year, that they were going to try and make it 13, 14 years. That is messing with the salary cap, aka luxury tax, to bring the number down. This is deferring money so far back that it does bring the money down, because the Dodgers know what they're doing with their money, as we've mentioned many times, Kratz, right? The Guggenheim Group. They know how to make that money grow. And this gets way too complicated and smart for me, but some people are saying that the way that they look at net present, they don't factor in those 10 years after the first 10 as well. And some people are saying the contract's really worth like $380 million to some of the finance dudes and dudettes out there.
Yeah, no doubt. You can definitely double your money, but I'd love to talk to Emma about it and see what she has to say about it, because this is all exciting for me. I want to see how this money actually, it's just an example of the rich getting richer, because we talk about Cohen and his 19 billion valuation, or his worth. The Guggenheim is 298 billion. That's what they're at. 95 billion. That's what their assets are. So we're talking about two different fish in the same pond.
All right. Well, then let's first off tell everyone, check out Teza at tezaenergy.com for 20% off your first order. You use the code FOUL, FOUL, to get set up there. Okay. A lot of money talk here. And we can continue that conversation right now with Emma Baccellieri from Sports Illustrated joining us. Emma, great to have you on. How you doing? And I don't know how much you caught of this, but to get your thoughts on the contract for Ohtani and your overall reaction to what's gone down the last few days for him and the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was kind of like everyone else's, like, oh my God, how is this possible? It's kind of funny, because if you think about it, like Erik was just saying, the actual real value of this contract is going to be closer to like $460 million, which is like in the ballpark of what people had originally projected. They were talking about maybe 500 million. And this is that when you account for how this money is going to depreciate over time, which obviously we don't know for sure, but we can estimate. But because everyone was expecting that $700 million number, and we've been talking about that for 2 days, it just seemed like this huge, crazy bombshell yesterday to hear about how this was structured. And I agree, it's really interesting. I don't know how much of a precedent it's going to set, because he really is such a one-of-a-kind player who, has all of these off-the-field endorsements that really aren't mimicked by other players. They just don't have the same market because he's a unicorn. And the Dodgers are obviously in a pretty special situation in terms of their ownership group. They have the biggest television contract in the sport. They're just a lot more stable and have a lot more resources than a bunch of other teams that you'd be talking about. But yeah, it's fascinating. I wasn't expecting it at all. I thought we'd get some big deferrals here. I didn't think it would be 97% of the contract. And yeah, just crazy stuff.
Here's my question. Could everybody do this, though? I'm saying obviously not everybody, but could a handful of teams pull this deal off? If its present day's value is $468 million, which I think everybody projected $500 to $600 million, could the handful of teams that he met with, who knows, have done this?
I think there are certainly more teams that could have. I don't think the Dodgers are like one of one here. I do think you have to have a pretty stable ownership group. Like if you were looking to sell in the next 10 to 15 years, that's a lot harder if you have $680 million waiting in the wings to be paid out. I also think the television contract is such a big one that we're in such a weird place with that right now, where that market is shifting really quickly. We've seen bankruptcies, like, the Padres thought they were in an okay spot with their deal, and then all of a sudden that's gone. Same with the Diamondbacks, with the bankruptcies of those RSNs. The Dodgers are currently not in that situation, and that helps a lot. But they're not the only team that has a lot of money to spend. It has a stable ownership group. Like there are other teams that could have done this, but I don't think it's going to start like a wave of copycats with talking about this much money deferred for this long.
All right, let's talk about Robert's clandestine flight from, I guess, technically from Australia to California, California to Toronto. What was I read your article about, the interviewing him and like what was it? Was he overwhelmed by like the calls that he was getting? It was unexpected. What was his reaction to the whole thing outside of what was written in the article? What you wrote, his responses were.
Yeah, I was really interested in his take, which was, as soon as everyone was tracking that flight and we had an idea it actually probably wasn't Ohtani, the first thing I thought was, I want to hear from who is on that flight and what that's like. And yeah, it sounds like it was just kind of total chaos for him because he made sure to emphasize his private jet does have really good Wi-Fi and good connectivity, so must be nice. So he normally is very online when he's in his plane. But he was with his kids. He has 5.5-year-old twins. And so he was taking care of them and doing everything he could to entertain them. So he wasn't looking at his phone at all. He didn't see any of this. And then the flight lands and you have customs officials coming on board asking, where's Ohtani? He has no idea what's going on. Gets off the flight, sees that his phone is just full of messages from both friends who think he has Ohtani on his plane, friends who think he's trying to buy the Blue Jays, friends who think he's coming in to close the deal. There's helicopters, there's press, just this whole crazy thing. And he had no idea until, he landed and saw what was going on. And at that point, it was already a story of its own.
Have you ever seen anything like this? Have you ever seen anything like mistaken anything? Like, because baseball reporters that were, well-respected people were like putting their reputation out there, like Ohtani's going to the Blue Jays and he's on this private plane. I mean, without, I guess, checking anything info about this plane. Have you ever seen anything like? I mean, surely not in baseball. This has never happened.
Right. Like, with college football coaching searches, I feel like you see a lot of private jet tracking, but that's because how many private jets fly into like Norman, Oklahoma? Obviously, Toronto and LA are kind of different there. And yeah, I mean, I certainly don't think it was a great day for baseball media on Friday. I think we had, people really getting out over their skis, reporting things without ironclad confirmation and not caveating it appropriately. I don't think that was great. I do think it was a lot of fun in some ways, just because, I mean, we were talking about sushi reservations and all tracking this flight. Like, it was crazy, but it was kind of fun. And I think, certainly sad for Blue Jays fans, sad for, the upstandingness of the media in a lot of ways, but just crazy experience that I don't think we're going to see again.
Was it crazy though because of we had no information? Like if there was no leakage of information, that's what made it more crazy, right? Because nobody was like, oh, even when Shohei went to Dunedin, it was like, oh, it was secret. And then Dave Roberts dropped a bombshell by saying, oh, the Dodgers talked to him. So because of the secretive nature of all these meetings and whatever negotiations, it made every little breadcrumb that much more. So I think that kind of probably led to the craziness.
Yeah, I totally think that fed it, which, totally Ohtani's prerogative. If he wanted this to be private, he can have this private. Like, he's such a singular player. He got to set the terms for his own free agency. But that is really unusual. I think we're really used to seeing these things play out in the media, whether you have, agents, players leaking little bits of info to kind of grease the wheels on things, to try to sometimes play teams off of each other. Like, it's, pretty customary to have much more of that information coming out in drips and drabs through the press. And obviously we didn't have that here. And I do think it kind of just drove people a little bit crazy to the point where we ended up where we were on Friday, just chasing all these rumors and grabbing reports that weren't, totally ironclad and running with them in a way that was pretty unusual.
Now that's my question. Is like, is that annoying? As you know, it's like, look at the biggest free agency. The whole winter meetings was surrounded like, what's Ohtani doing? We all like Ohtani, okay, Yamamoto, Snell, but it's Ohtani. Soto deal, okay, but it's Ohtani. Isn't that annoying? That's like, look at, let's just, if you want to be the face, like me and AJ were talking about it. If he wants to be the face, and I think he wants to be the face, you have to be a face. It's kind of like he's a silhouette in most instances. And, is it the annoying covering this kind of, I guess, inconsistent coverage?
I think it presents, challenges. Certainly, it's very different. And I do think, being on a marquee franchise like the Dodgers now, I think there will be, added pressure to be a little more public. Who knows if he's going to want to do that or not. But I think it's challenging, but it's not like, if this is how he wants to run things, this is how he wants to run things. And like, there are ways to find other interesting stories here that aren't just like chasing the flow of information, right? So like, even like talking to Robert Herjavec about his flight, like that wasn't a story I expected to be doing this off season, but it was something fun and interesting. And like, if those are the stories we're getting, I think, if reporters are driven by the interest in finding a good story, like there are still good stories here that are interesting things. They just are going to look different. I think if he wants to be private about this stuff, and especially like something like this, where you're talking about a contract that's going to define the rest of your life and figuring out where you're going to live for the next 10 years and like define your career, like if he wants privacy around that, he can have that privacy, I think.
Did he make the decision that will make the most impact? All the caveats of this. Baseball. Is this going to be where he wins the most World Series? Not to say that that's more important than he's going to have an entire impact on a country had he signed with the Blue Jays. Not to make, light of the fact that in LA, he's closer to Japan. He's closer to going home to Japan. Although when I flew to Japan, I flew from Detroit to Japan, and it took 2 minutes less than flying from LA to Japan the other time I went to Japan. So, like, is signing with LA the place where it's the biggest, that Shohei has made the biggest impact? Not saying that that's what his goal is, to make the greatest impact, but is that where the largest impact that he could possibly have is?
I think you can make an argument that it really is. And like you were saying, there's different types of impact. Like I agree, if he'd chosen the Blue Jays, that's impacting a whole country in a different way that you just can't have by choosing any of the other 29 teams. But I think an impact in terms of the likelihood of winning, obviously, as we've seen with the Dodgers in the past, having a stacked roster and a high payroll isn't a guarantee that you're going to win the World Series, but giving himself the best chance to be in position to win not just one championship, but potentially multiple, I think he has the best chance to make that impact there. I think in terms of, the endorsements, off the field activities, tapping into both American and Japanese, commercial opportunities, LA is incredible for that. I think he really, obviously he was already in that general Southern California market with the Angels, but in terms of like being with the historic marquee franchise that already has really great brand recognition in Japan. I mean, you can look back to Hideo Nomo and the kind of explosion of Japanese commercial opportunities they had there back in the 90s. Like that's well established, and there's a lot to draw from there. I think in terms of impact of potentially winning the most, and also just off the field branding and endorsement opportunities, he was going to have some of those anywhere, but this is by far, I think, the biggest chance to do that.
So Emma, he's got a press conference coming up, and I'm sure it will be busy. And we reminded Max Muncy yesterday that his life is about to change. I'm talking about Max's, because it's not just the Japanese media coming over. It's just global media that's going to be covering him to the highest degree here based on who he is. So let's say you're at that presser. You get one question. What are you asking him?
I think I honestly have to go with, what is the name of your dog? It has been driving me crazy. I really want to know, why was he so secretive about it? I'm sure other people will ask all the hard-hitting ones of how he made this choice and what he wants, but like, we know he wants to win. He was always linked to LA. I really want to know, what is the dog's name?
So, Emma, before you came on, Adam and I were talking about this, and Adam said he wants to be the face of baseball. And I said, well, does he want to be the face of baseball? Because he doesn't answer questions. So the over-under on how many questions he actually answers tomorrow. And why couldn't he do the press conference and give the name of his dog when he won the MVP? Oh, that's right, because they had technical difficulties, so he couldn't answer it. It's amazing. I've never seen a Zoom have technical difficulties, but, whatever. So what do you think the over-under is on how many questions he answers?
I think we're actually going to see him open up a little more here, just because he's been able to prepare for this press conference. I agree, he could have prepared for the MVP one. Like, wasn't exactly a surprise that he won there. It was, I think, really strange that didn't happen. But for this one, he's known for months, if not years, that he was going to eventually have a big press conference upon signing with a new team. This is going to be kind of just like a singular opportunity for him. I think he's probably spent time like prepping for all of the likely questions he's going to get. It really is, the really unusual setting for him to have to be at. And I think if he's going in there committed to it, he's already like mentioned it himself a couple times on social media, which is really rare for him. I think we're going to see a fair amount of questions. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this go for, 30 minutes plus.
Now, me and AJ was, like I said, we were talking, and I said that he was able to hide a little bit behind the Angels media. LA, they're going to ask the tough questions. You can't slide out the back door. You can't go out the back room just to get to your car. Do you think that the LA media and LA markets will open him up a little bit more, though? Like I said, because my example was Mookie Betts. Boston, we knew Mookie was great. We knew he was a personality, charismatic. But you get him to LA, it's like, this guy's like one of the coolest guys in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely going to be more pressure to open up. And also, like, I mean, who knows, because no one has talked to him, but maybe now that he has kind of that pressure off his back of knowing, like, I'm going to have free agency soon, I'm probably going to be signing a record signing contract. I have all of this like weighing on me in terms of how I'm going to navigate that and how I'm going to navigate questions around that. Like, now that he's done that and is able to move forward with that, and also, chances are is not going to be in a situation where he's doing incredible things on the field that we've never seen before, and he's also losing every night. Now that that's all, done and finished with, I think there is a good chance we see him hopefully open up a little bit more. Who knows? It's up to him. But I think you're totally right. There is going to be more pressure. There's going to be a bigger spotlight. There is going to be just a bigger media contingent. And hopefully now that he is, out of all of the dysfunctional features of the Angels and has gone through free agency and has that out of the way, hopefully we see him start to kind of open up and share a little bit more of himself, because, by all accounts, he's like a really fun guy and great teammate. There are some little anecdotes that have come out that really seem like he has a cool personality. So it would be nice to get to see a lot more of that in the coming years.
Is there going to be a more pressure-packed, panicked moment than when the Dodgers play their first playoff game? Because they're going to win 100-plus games. People are like, oh, now their lineup, they're going to win this. They don't have any pitching. So people are like, oh, they're going to win 82 games. They're going to win 100 games. The Dodgers just win 100 games. Game one of the NLDS, is there going to be more pressure on any top three of a lineup than those three guys?
I don't think there possibly could be. I mean, it's weird because normally at this time of year, you'd be talking about the team that's defending the title of, like, can the Rangers repeat, whatever. But in this case, you're right. It's totally the Dodgers. I think there's just no way to top that amount of pressure that, obviously 6 years in Anaheim, Ohtani didn't see a playoff game, that he's now ideally going to have a chance to do that in what could be one of the best lineups ever. That's just like an unmatched amount of pressure, I think. And I really hope we get to see it, because it should be a lot of fun.
I think at his press conference, he should go, not one, not two, not
That
three.
didn't go well.
You remember that? Hey, they did win, just not. What number did they get up to? Do you remember that during the Miami press conference? Did you say 3, 4?
Six or
Six?
six,
Oh, yeah.
6 or 7. Yeah, they got 2.
It gives me chills. Like, like, it was embarrassing when he started to get not 5, not 6, and then you could see people in the background like, LeBron, no, your hair, you're balding. We need to get that hair back. Let's win one, just one.
It's like Pinocchio. Stop. Stop. Emma, we appreciate the time. Thanks for everything you're doing in terms of putting out the really interesting and unique articles. You can follow her at Emma Baccelliere on Twitter, and all of her articles as well on SI. Appreciate you. Have a good one, Emma.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys.
Great to talk to you. All right. So, by the way, before we move on, great comment from, I think, None is how you say it. Shohei's dog's name, Artie.
Come on.
That's so good.
What if it's Guggen?
Yeah, but Artie's like the dog. He's the underdog. He's the loser in this. Like,
should be Morosi. Should be JP, or because JP and the other reporter got him a bunch more money by saying he was on his way to Toronto. So,
do you think so? Do you think
no? But it drew some interest. It was just, maybe he named it Blue Jay because he knew he wasn't ever going there. He was just using him the whole time. Maybe that's why he didn't want to give the dog's name. I mean, it was all fun and games, but it just got crazy, like Emma said, because there was no information out there, so nobody knows anything.
I got a question for you, AJ. It's fair for everybody. Is like, dang, I just drew a blank.
No, the answer is yes. No.
Yeah, it was a good question too.
It's because you got Jimmy Rollins' goatee going on. That's what it is. It's taking
a little gray.
Yeah, Jimmy, you and Jimmy got too much gray in that, John.
The answer is yes, I would take the same deal as Ohtani and be a great teammate.
You think though, honestly,
but super teams work. These are just like
in baseball, we've never really seen one, have we?
What's the closest?
Can you make it? The
Yankees?
The Yankees.
Maybe?
But they weren't really. But they didn't have this. They didn't have this. They
Murderers
didn't have.
Row.
I mean, the late
90s, 1927 when there were 6 teams. I mean, come on. I'm talking in today's game. Like, we've never seen anything like this in baseball.
Orioles 2014.
Close. That didn't work.
We're good there. Yeah, we needed a.
But I'm talking like MVP, right? The first 3 guys are all former MVPs. Okay, then you have Will Smith, who's considered one of the top 2 or 3, months. I mean, it's so hard in baseball to do a super team. In basketball, you do a super team with 3 guys. Okay, there's 3 of the 5 players. On baseball, that's only 3 of the 9 position players. And you got to have dudes that pitch, and you got to have dudes that come out of the bullpen, right? And you have to have guys at 6 other positions in the lineup. So it's going to be a fascinating case study if the Dodgers are able to win and win more than, not only win one, but win more than one. Because you guys keep talking about Mookie and Shohei deferred. Freddie Freeman's got a bunch of deferred money too. So, man, the Guggenheim's got the money. They better make it now because, 10 years from now, they're paying everybody.
Well, that's what they do. They make their money now. They're living as a $295 billion in assets. They're living at what's called 8.5 prime rate, where their money is making 8.5% because of how they're able to not defer, but like push everything all around. And so they mitigate the highs, but they mitigate the lows, and they take advantage of the highs because they have so much spread over different platforms that this is genius by them. I mean, it's genius, but it's also showing that they are not in the same category as the guy who they started making CBT rules in the last CBA. Everyone's like, oh, the Steve Cohen rule. And the whole time over there, the Guggenheims are like, what are they doing in baseball? That's like one of our things that we own, right? We're still doing the baseball thing. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Because that was fun. That was like a fun hobby that we do on the weekends. It's like, yeah, I have a boat, but we don't really use it. I have a Dodger team, but we don't, it's just kind of a cool thing. We'll get some jewelry from it one year.
It's a good way to put it. And you are right. And I'll read a little bit more about this, but it gets too in depth, I think, at least for me. And there's chatter from smart people like Travis Sawchik, who's been a writer for a long time, and then a Reds writer saying the true net present value of the deal is actually $380 million if you're using their 4.3% rate. I'm thinking they're talking about interest rate there. If they can lock into something better than 4.3%, they could have the whole thing paid off for a fraction of the cost. Because they were talking about how years 2 to 9 and 11 to 19 should be discounted differently based on, I guess, interest rates. I don't know, getting way too deep for me, but it does make sense, right? This is their bread and butter. They know financially how to, and this is why net present value exists. Financially, they're able to put money into whatever the hell they put it into that grows. They pay that off, correct?
Yes. I mean, essentially, if you have the idea is in a super general term, if you have $1 million in 7 years, you should have $2 million. Based on how markets grow, they're not sitting there going, should I invest in Chipotle right now? No, they're investing in every black bean farm company in the world that supplies Chipotle. Like they're just riding the markets and essentially saying over time, every 7 years, your money doubles. So if you don't have to pay Shohei 68 of his $70 million, where does that money go? That money goes into something that will get them that money, decreasing the actual value of that $68 million, because they could technically, if you put it in the most simple forms, they could put $34 million of the 68 that should be owed this year away. And in 7 years, not 10, in 7 years, that will be worth $68 million. So now they have another 3 years, which is basically, essentially half of the 7 years, a little less than half, for that $68 million that was $34 million to even grow more. So that's why the present value is way less, and it's actual dollars.
Perfectly stated. Clip that. I love that. And by the way, I didn't catch this. I got to read some of his recent work, but apparently Tom Verducci said the Dodgers got worried on Friday night and they upped their offer. Okay.
See,
and
I want to
Tom's pretty legit.
JP worked. You guys made fun of me.
JP's getting a kickback. Is JP getting a nice Japanese
little Mel
leather,
Kiper?
a nice Japanese leather like microphone now? Like JP Morosi. Oh, nada data. Ohayou gozaimasu.
I think the players union should be like, thanks. All the players should be like, thank you. Appreciate you.
Call JP.
Wait. Media can persuade contracts? Wait a minute. You mean like can they squash contract values? Said one on one show or network, they could do that if that was leaked to certain people? Wait a minute. What are you talking about, Scott?
Smart finance people can tweet out a stock they're interested in and raise the freaking price by themselves. So media can up deals. Media can try and bring down deals. And in this case, good for them. All right, let's get to Yamamoto, okay? Because we haven't talked to Mr. Jones about him, and he's got some insight for us, obviously playing overseas for a couple years. So Mark Feinsand with the latest report here that Yamamoto has already met with the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants. He's going to meet with the Red Sox, and then 2 or 3 more teams, including the Blue Jays, will also likely meet with him. So, Jonesy, what are teams getting? What do you think is going to happen? And do you know him personally? Do you know people around him? Did you face him?
I know him personally. He was my teammate for 2 years. And, I mean, I was with him and Yoshida. So I first seen both of them. I'm just like, oh, yeah, you guys can ball. Y'all don't want to be here no more. Y'all want to get over to America. My greatest thing, though, I told I think the best piece of advice I think I told Yamamoto was when I went to talk to him, I was like, you have aspirations to go to America? He said, yes. He takes English classes. I said, the biggest thing about America in MLB is all 9 hitters want to jump you. Over here, 3, 4 hitters, that's it. Everybody else is going to slap the ball, put the ball in play. That's why it's really tough also. If you're looking at his strikeouts, that's more impressive because their hitters are very contact-oriented. We've all played against the Japanese players. They are contact-oriented hitters. So for him to go out and really strike out, really won an inning is really impressive based on just how the style of play is. But what teams are going to get is somebody who is posted. He's made all his starts. He's healthy. He works. he is a tireless worker. Like, I've seen the guy on his days off that he shouldn't even come in. He's out there working. He's flexible, stretches. He makes sure he gets his throwing in. I think he throws a little bit too damn much, but what do I know? My arm don't hurt because I ain't got to do it no more. He has these darts that he throws, and it's pretty impressive how he throws them. And he's throwing them, 100 plus 200 feet. But he's a tireless worker. And, I think he likes the big spot. I think he likes and wants to win. By him being on the WBC team, by the team Oryx Buffaloes, back-to-back champions in Japan, like, he's tasted success in the last 2-3 years. And even my last year in 21, we lost the finals, but we got there. So the last 3 years, he's been in the thick of it, in a winning situation. I don't think he would like to come over to America and just take the money and go to a losing situation. So I think the teams that have the best chance to win have the best chance to landing him, because all these teams are going to pay him similar money. It's just going to boil down to how, who wants him and can he win? And by Ohtani doing this and deferring so much money, open the floodgates, because if Ohtani goes here, Yamamoto can't join him. It's just too much money on the books. You can add him.
Everybody can have him. Everybody wants him, and he's going to get what he wants, winning and money. Is there something about his motion? Like, he's got a really, when I say a quick arm, his he has that like pause, go, and then boop, it pops out. Do you think that's going to translate in big league baseball to something that we've seen before, or is it going to be something that it's going to take a long time for guys to make adjustments to this guy?
I mean, I don't think it'll take a long time, because MLB hitters are the best hitters in the world, and they make adjustments, on the fly. And we have been accustomed to seeing more Japanese pitchers and Asian pitchers over the last couple of years. But he changed his windup. This was not his windup. He's quick pitching. He's doing that as his main in his rotation or delivery. And, again, he's 95, 97, and that split is 91 miles an hour. And it is a hard split. It's one of those like Roger Clemens splits that, you think you can hit it, but you're not on it. And, it's just a matter of navigating yourself through the lineup. And again, he has guys with Yu Darvish, with Ohtani, with Tanaka, it was Kuroda. He has guys and Senga, who's the newest one, guys in his corner he can take information off of and how to approach the American style. You've seen Senga struggled earlier in the season with he got strikeouts, but he was walking guys because American guys, they make you work. They're not like the velocity doesn't get to us over in America. So I just think that he has the right people in his corner to talk to and get information. So I don't think he's going to come in just like novice, but I think hitters are also going to come in and be like, okay, I have an understanding of his delivery and how the ball comes out of his arm. And, although he's short, his arm is really whippy. It's got that four-seam ride. But again, American hitters, I just think are just fantastic. So I think the adjustment's always going to be made, but I think his stuff is going to be elite.
Adam, I've also heard that he does not lift weights and he has this plastic javelin program. Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, these arrows.
Okay.
And, he sits there and he like crow hops, and I try to do it with him, and he crow hops and launches these arrows really far. It's like those little things like when we grew up as kids, those little like lawn darts.
Darvish used to throw those to me all the time.
Exactly what they are. They're lawn darts, and he sits out there and chugs them. He's not the strongest guy, but he's incredibly flexible. I told him, I said, you're going to have to eat a little bit more than Gohan in America. That's rice. You're going to have to eat a little bit more of that. You're going to have to eat a little bit more of that steak, all that sushi you eat. You triple that. You're going to have to get stronger. And I just think that will come with knowledge of American culture, knowledge of how the preparation. There's going to be a lot more stress. You throw a lot more stress pitches in America, than I've seen in Japan. So I just think that he'll fit the mold, and I think he'll just adjust to the Western style, just like everybody else has. I think when you're good, you're good. It doesn't matter. A friend of mine sent me this stupid video of Babe Ruth saying he couldn't do this in today's era, and I said, bro, greats are great. Shut up. You don't know nothing about sports. You weren't great.
He make the adjustment. Is he gonna stay together? In your opinion, obviously nobody knows. Nobody
Right.
knows, but you talk about like the size of this guy, and everybody wants to hate on people who are shorter. That's not what I'm talking about. You didn't even say he was shorter, just a little bit skinnier.
He's petite.
Like you
He's
need
petite.
some heft. Can he sustain it?
Here's the thing, Mookie Betts. I'll put him and Mookie Betts at similar sizes.
Similar
And
build?
Mookie is extremely explosive.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And so is Yamamoto with his arm and his power of his legs. Altuve, you can't just say, like, it's hard to say how someone will hold up. You never know. Obviously, you got to play. I mean, there's been some absolute specimens in our sports that couldn't hold up. I just think that his routine and his adaptation to routine, and I've seen his stats this year. He threw 170 innings. That's 30 innings less. Maybe they put him on maybe put him on a different program to get his arm, maybe freshen him up a little bit or keep him fresh a little bit, something. But they put him on a different program this year, maybe in anticipation of coming to America. Great movie. But I think that he'll adapt. And I just think that he'll be dominant. Obviously, it's going to take time by getting through these lineups, and we got our taste by seeing him. The best lineup he's ever faced was Team Mexico. That was the best lineup he's ever seen in his career, and he did really well against them. All those guys are major leaguers. Just it's going to be different when you're in the major league stadium with facing the Braves or facing the Yankees or wherever team he's not, or just the opposing teams. Just a little bit different, and I just think he's up for the challenge, which is great.
And maybe depending on the team, they sell him on every sixth day, whether it's all year or at least in the beginning. I mean, the Mets did that a lot with Kodai Senga this past season.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do that going forward, but his numbers were, elite pretty much. By the end of the year, he was pitching like a 1. I mean, he was a 2 if you look at his overall season. So it's hard to not replicate that. And he stayed pretty healthy, obviously.
Did he go 6 days all year, or did it change throughout the year?
It was mostly 6.
I think that's smart. I think that's smart, especially with Senga. He's had a history of injuries in Japan. That was a big thing with him. Was he had elite stuff, but he had some injuries. So maybe keeping him on his 6th day is good. I know Darvish has been on the American rotation. Shohei, he pitches when he says he pitch. He can wake up like, I just want to pitch today. You ain't got nothing about it. You ain't gonna say nothing about it. So that's how I think he was in LA. It's if they keep him on his rotation, fine. I just think that with his sustainability and how he's been, I think he can adjust to it. But again, the Japanese, they throw a lot. And like off days and all this, they throw a lot. And their whole thing about it is just, work. And, one thing I told them is that there's days you need to just get away and let your arm relax. Let it just relax. Let your body relax. They don't understand that yet. But I think that by having the Tanakas and having guys that have been over to America for a long time, not just 1 year guys that had really good careers over here, I think he has a lot of information going forward on how to, opposed to just like, you know what, I'm the first one like Hideo Nomo and I'm just going to figure it out. I think he has just a lot of information on his side this go around.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. And he's picked the perfect time to be a free agent too.
And if he goes to LA, he can drive a Rolls Royce. But I say go to San Diego.
Why does he need to drive a Rolls Royce?
He likes Rolls Royces.
Does he?
Does he like nice? Like.
Oh, yummy. Ooh, he's a big watch guy. Ooh, and I mean, again, you got LA. If somebody wants Yamamoto, give him a nice old paddock. Can't drive a Rolls Royce in New York, man. No, but I just think he wants to be in the limelight. And the limelight is 2 cities in America. We know that. That's New York and LA. So if I was to take a guess, I'd say he'd be in one of them. I don't know which, but but his good friend and countryman sure as hell paved a way for him to go over there.
Is he enough of a star for what? Because we always talk about, you haven't been on here for a minute. We talk about the Giants. They need a star. Does he have that personality that you're like, whoa, this guy like lights up the room, lights up, like, I want to come and see this team because Yamamoto's on this team? Or is it more of a reserved, like, behind the scenes type of star that we're looking at?
It's a little bit of both. Like, he's got a great laugh. He's very involved with his teammates. Like, he's not the, stay behind, be closed behind the window, behind the doors. He's out there, like, at practices and all that stuff. We practice a lot. He was always out there front and center, did his work, but would always be around. He always tried to speak to the Americans. It was me, a guy named Tyler Higgins, Stephen Moya was over there, Stefan Romero, and so he would always talk to the American guys. He wanted to learn. Like, that was the coolest thing about him, is he wanted to learn the Western culture, and by him doing that, told me he wants to go to America to play. He wants to play in MLB, and he took all the steps. He took English classes. He sure as hell knows how to spend some money. That's very American. So I think that I think that he's got some things built into him that's very American, and I think he's up for the challenge. And by winning 3 straight of their Cy Youngs, I don't know the exact name of the Cy Young. I don't want to butcher it and be disrespectful, but he's won 3 straight Cy Youngs over there. It's time to go and challenge yourself somewhere else, and there's no better else to challenge yourself than Major League Baseball. So as a former teammate and as a friend, somebody who's able to hopefully give him a little bit of information and knowledge, I can't wait for his arrival because I want to go see it.
So last one, and then we'll bring on our next guest, Erik Johnson, big man in the pitching world for the Cincinnati Reds. We'll go over the fancy schmancy title in a sec for him. But do you think that Yamamoto wants to share the spotlight with Ohtani and the sponsorships and everything else, or he wants to be the king of his own, if not organization, city even, which to me makes me feel like he's more on the New York side of things?
Well, no one's going to be Ohtani. Ohtani's on every billboard. The only person who's Ohtani is Ichiro. That's it. Godzilla is big. Godzilla still ain't Ohtani in the Japanese market. I think Yamamoto is. I think first off, there's enough to go around, and I think Yamamoto, by having Osaka as his base, he's not a Tokyo guy. Even though Shohei is a Nippon guy, he's corporate Tokyo. Let's just call it what it is. I think Yamamoto has enough of the 20 million that's in Osaka, Kobe area to have his own rights and have his own sponsorship and have his own billboards, everything in Osaka, and have them praise him as they do Ohtani. So I think there's enough to go around, and I don't think he minds if he throws behind him. He said he wants to play with somebody familiar. Someone obviously, that familiarity means someone Japanese. So there's only a few teams that you can do that with, and again, the one opened up immensely, and it's just a matter of where he wants to go. I texted him the other day, and I was just like, "Hey, any decisions?" He ain't texted me back, so hopefully he's in meetings all the time and just trying to make the best decision for him. He's a single guy, so he's about to. He might buy 2 Rolls Royces. Home and road.
If the Dodgers sign him, how much more does that patch go up for a Japanese company?
Oh, wow.
They have 2 dudes. It might pay for Yamamoto's contract.
You got Marushin, you got Nippon. I mean, they're gonna have their own ramen brand. They're gonna have their own beef. Maybe get the Shohei Yamamoto beef.
What's that called?
You got the Wagyu, you got the A5, you got the Kobe, you got the Miyazaki beef, you got the Hokkaido, you got the Awaji, which is the best. I mean,
that's the one that was the championship Awaji.
There you go.
Yeah, I like how they put championship at their. That's the name. If they just get an Owaji patch on there, it just says championship, and then each year they win one, they just put like a 2, and then next year, a 3.
The tally mark. I like that. All right, that was really good stuff. Really good insight there. Let's get to our next guest on FTLive. He is the Reds' director of pitching, promoted to that title in 2021. Erik Johnson joining us right now. Derek, how you doing, man? How come you guys didn't get Ohtani?
I mean, he would have hit about at least 100 home runs a year in a Great American. So I was thinking that we had a shot, but I don't know. I mean, it sounds like he did pretty well for himself, right?
Yeah, he did very well for himself. Hey, we like to talk. Go ahead, Kratz. I know you're ready to go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm glad you shaved that thing on your chin And you put a Reds hat on. Like, do you just have a Reds hat that do you go around getting groceries at home with a Reds hat? Like,
it's a trucker cap, man. Like I drive around in it, I guess. That's about the best I can do.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So why would Yamamoto not want to come to Cincinnati to be under the tutelage of, and I'm saying that jokingly, but I'm also saying this seriously. To me, the best hitting coach in baseball right now, pitching coach in baseball right now is you. Are you dumbing down the pitchers that should come to Cincinnati because the organization says, whatever. DJ will just fix whoever we get, and then we can get value out of our pitchers.
Well, I don't know exactly how to answer that question, but I'll start by saying, we've obviously been in a place in our organization where we've had to make some cuts and tear the thing down. We're in the process of building it back up, and we've acquired some really, really good talent. Some of them are still pretty young. Some of those guys actually got thrown into the fire, in the last couple of years, whether they were ready or not. But I think really in the end, we're going to kind of look at this and look back and say like it was almost the perfect storm for us, because I think under normal circumstances, some of these guys wouldn't have had a chance to play as early as they've had a chance. So I think when you look at it that way, you start to kind of look, okay, what happens in 24, what happens in 25? And we've been asking ourselves this question, at least I have lately, is like, what's our year? I remember when I was with the Cubs, I was the minor league pitching coordinator, and Theo asked us a question. He said, when are we going to win the World Series? And at the time, I thought 2017. But everything that those guys did, every move they made, everything that we did in player development was geared towards, finding that kind of culmination, that point of the spear, where it was like, hey, we're going to win it and we're going to go for it. We'll trade guys if we have to get what we need. And, the rest is history. And I think that's kind of where we're at, is like, where are we looking at when we can make the biggest splash? And so, we've had to go through a lot. We've had to give up a lot. At the same time, it's been really rewarding. Some of these younger guys are coming up. They still have a ways to grow. But at the same time, like, it's been a lot of fun watching them do it and doing it on a pretty good sized stage.
So when is it? Sorry, Jonesy. When is it for the Reds? So when is that? You said the Cubs 17. You're a year off.
Well,
so when is it for the Reds?
Yeah. So if history can repeat itself, I'm going to say 26. Right. So I'll just go there. I'll just go 26.
Fair. I see what you did there. You did there.
Right.
All right, DJ, I want to ask. You've been around, and you started. You've been around, especially some studs since 2011, 12, college,
Right.
but also predates social media in a way. What do you think about these social media pitching coaches, gurus now that are just obviously a plethora and just taking all these parents' money? I mean, it seems like a pretty good damn deal.
Well, the taking money part of it is obviously the one thing I would probably disagree with the most. But the one thing I think that you can't really look past is you can learn baseball from anyone. And if you get on those social media posts and the gurus and the folks who are kind of doing it on the internet, you can tangle through the stuff that you look at and go, no chance. I can't do that with my guy. That's not something that you would do in the big leagues, but maybe it is something that you do as a building block for a kid who's in high school or early high school or whatever. Obviously injury is a big factor in all of this, but I found over the years, I can't beat them. I can't disagree with all of them. And I don't know where all of them are coming from. What I can do is take bits and pieces of it and go, I think that's pretty cool. I can use that. Or I can put that in my toolkit and maybe save it for a rainy day. I think like the bottom line is some of it's good and some of it's bad. You guys, you all played and you've seen that. You've seen that the drill that like, hey, it's a great drill, but it doesn't work for me. You've also seen that kind of drill that isn't supposed to work, but for whatever reason, it speaks to you and all of a sudden, your swing gets right. And so then you keep it and you believe in it. And you've also seen where you keep doing that drill, and over time it kind of corrupts itself and becomes less useful. So, there's a lot of different ways to slice the cat, if you will, or the cake, and there's a lot of different ways to do it. I think the bottom line is, I think there's a lot of really good information out there. You just got to be really careful, especially when you're spending money on it.
I don't think we're slicing any cats here at FT.
Yeah, we're
so
not going to slice a cat. Yeah.
We like cake. We like birthday cake. What is the number one attribute that you like to see in a pitching prospect when the org says, hey, we drafted this guy, we're going to invite him to big league camp? What's the number one attribute that Derek Johnson's going to be like, look down the six pack and be like, whoa?
I don't care what kind of stuff they have. Obviously their stuff has to be good or good enough. It's that dog in them. It's that mindset. It's to me, that's a quality that is really hard to instill in a player. If he's not competitive, if he doesn't have a competitive spirit, if this guy isn't willing to fight for himself, if this guy's not willing to fight for what he believes in. One thing as a pitching coach is I can go up to someone and go, hey man, what about this? And the guys who are yes men and say yes on everything, generally speaking, don't have a good enough base yet to understand, like, hey, this is mine and you're not going to take that away. It's the one thing that every player has. You got here for a reason, right? Like, there's a reason why you are in big league camp, and there's a way that you got there. And so that route, the history of that, it should become really important to that player. If I come up and sort of like with the wind say, hey man, like, what about this? Yeah, I think it's great, for you to think of it. Maybe there's some truth to it. Maybe there's something that you can use with it. But if you're willing just to sacrifice kind of everything that got you there, I think that's a problem, because for me, like, I need you to know, like, hey, when it's me versus you and the game is on the line, I don't care if you know my fastball is coming. I don't care if you know my breaking ball is coming. Here it is. Can you hit it? When and if you do, I tip my cap. When and if you don't, I walk off the field and I did my job.
DJ, I want to ask about my guy, Hunter Green. I think he took a lot of major strides towards being the stud and star that we all think he is. Obviously, the person, top class, top notch. Barring, obviously, injuries, what do you think he needs to do to take that next step, to be the all-star, to be into that Cy Young category competition? Because his stuff, we all know, plays. And this is going into his, I think, third or fourth full season. So
Third.
I think third full season, and he's learned a lot at the big league level. What do you think he can do to just make that jump to, all right, this guy's elite?
Yeah, so it's great that you asked that question, because it really kind of falls in line with what we just talked about. Hunter is one of the best kids I've ever been around. Athletically, he's elite. The way he throws the baseball is elite. He's been his parents did an outstanding job of raising him. He's just a good young man. But I did have a talk with him later in the year about kind of being a dude, and not that it has to be necessarily what you see on the mound. It's what he does in between. And, I think Hunter, along with a lot of young guys, really, they struggle and they search for what works for them. And I think that's definitely where he's at. I think he's a work in progress on, how he plays catch every day, what he does as a routine. And they build those habits in the minor leagues. Unfortunately for Hunter, he had a couple of things against him. He was hurt when he first came in. COVID struck, and now all of a sudden he's on our team. And so he really hasn't pitched very many innings of baseball professionally. So he had to learn a lot of this on the fly. And so I think for him, it's kind of those dude qualities that we're talking about. It's like, if you study for the test, now go out and get an A on it. And he's got to learn how to study. And we've talked a lot this off season. I think he's doing a really good job, with his throwing and kind of upping that, like the volume and the intensity of it. And, for me, it's like taking those steps it's, he's going to walk into every game really confident. He does prepare. He understands what hitters are trying to do to him. He does know that he has a target on his back, which I love. Like, to me, it's the best way to pitch. I don't want to be under the radar when I'm pitching. I want to be like, hey, this guy knows, and they have to be ready to hit me. And if they're not, I'm going to have my way with them. And that's, to me, the way that it works in your favor on the mound. So I think just those, routine things that he has to learn about himself to get him right for each and every start. And then I think the last part of that is, staying healthy and going through an absolute full season, kind of start to finish, 32, 34 starts, whatever it ends up being, and, kind of going the distance wire to wire.
All right, take us back to 2019 when you just come over to the Reds. Take us to the conversation that you had with one of your previous tutelage young men, Sonny Gray, in college. Talk through the conversation that you had with him when he came out of the situation in New York that he had. Because we talked about this earlier. We talked about a conversation that he and I had about how Larry and him didn't see eye to eye on pitch selection. Talk about that conversation that you guys had. Like, oh man, I love playing for DJ. He gets me, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes out and is an all-star.
I had a real head start, right? Like, I've known him since he was 15. And I was there for a really good bit of his high school career, and then obviously for his college career. And so to circle back with him, it was just, A, it was a lot of fun, B, because I love the kid, and B, to me, like, he had just sort of gotten off the rails a little bit, and I wouldn't blame anyone for that. I think, if nothing else, like, he was being a student of the game. He was listening to the people who were trying to tell him, hey, this is what we think would help you get better. And so, he was being coachable. And I think along the way, he kind of lost himself. And so really the conversation with us just revolved around getting back to who he was. And I've had a saying, I've said it for a long, long time. It's be great at what you're good at. And, Sonny has a good two-seamer. It's a seam shift kind of thing that works really well for him. He was throwing mostly four-seamers. His four-seamer is kind of a cut ride pitch, which is also good. But he was throwing more of those. He was throwing more sliders. He wasn't landing his slider as much. But he had a curveball that he was born with, literally, and I wanted him to throw that a little bit more. So it kind of became, hey, I want you to continue to throw the four seam. I want you to continue to throw the slider, but strike pitches and pitches that we can believe in and that the hitter has to be responsible for, let's go a little bit more with the two-seamer and let's go a little bit more with your curveball, which he did. And what happened is it opened up his slider a little bit more. He got a little bit more chase on that. The four-seamer became a really kind of unique pitch to a lefty. What he ended up started doing with lefties is he would kind of cut right it into their hands, and then he would front hip the two-seam, and it ended up kind of becoming almost a trademark with him, and he'd X that top spot at the lefty's hands. Righties, obviously, he's burying a lot of that stuff on their hands too, and then could work it away from them. So he had a plan against a lefty and a righty. It was simple. It was something that he knew he could do. He was good at doing it. And really, like, it was following that formula, be great at what you're good at. And he took that advice. He ran with it. And, I'm just awfully proud of, kind of what he's done in the last few years. Even though he's not a Red anymore, it's still a lot of fun to watch him pitch.
He was almost Red. We heard some rumors that he almost came back. Was it close?
I think so, yeah. And I don't know all of the details. I spoke with him, and it's always rough when you know someone the way I know him, because you're talking business, and of course you want him on your club. And then on the other side of it, so I start that conversation by saying, listen, selfishly, I want you here. The unselfish part of me wants you to make as much money as you can and be as happy as you can. And so if that's not here, that's good too. And so it was a tough conversation when he called and said that he was going to go elsewhere. At the same time, he's got a beautiful family. His wife's a great lady. And if he felt like that was a better situation for him, then that's awesome. But I think it was close. I think we had a really good shot. I do think it came down kind of between just a couple of clubs, and so we lost out. At the same time, there's reasons for that. Who's the next guy we're going to sign? What's next? We always got to kind of keep moving.
I wanted to ask about the 23 season overall. Started out, especially in the Central, it started out with Pittsburgh. We've over here talking, is Pittsburgh going to the playoffs? We
Right.
don't know. But just the excitement this year from Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, not just St. Louis, Chicago, and Milwaukee. How exciting is it and bright for your future, exciting for your future that you guys, small market, you guys in the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to be knocking at the door now. You're not just going to be the doormats of the Central. You're not going to y'all ballpark and everybody just run to the bat rack. It's like, I don't really want to go here no more. How is that, knowing that, like, you know what? We have a team now. We got a squad. We got some young studs, Benson, De La Cruz, and the pitching staff. Let's not talk about them. How is that, knowing that, like, you know what? Even if and we got money to spend, you guys can be formidable in this division no matter what the other divisional rivals have made.
Yeah, I would just start by saying last year, and we fell short, but it was one of the funnest years I've ever had as a coach. And it was probably the theme for me was like we didn't know what we didn't know. We had so many young guys, and it was their first time for doing everything. And it was just a very close-knit group. Generally speaking, every year you're going to have a little bit of riff somewhere, right? We didn't really have any of that. You always kind of feel that offense versus defense, pitcher versus position player kind of thing. And honestly, I never felt that at all the way through the year. And I think it's a testament, number one, to some of our team guys, that led our team. Jonathan India, I thought, was a great leader. Luke Maley was a good leader, I thought. There were a few guys, obviously, with Joey, and just all of his experience and how he speaks. And, when Joey speaks, everyone listens. So we just had a lot of people that were, kind of pulling in the right direction or the same direction. And then again, it was just kind of cool because it was so young, and it's like they didn't even know. They were just out kind of having fun. And, I remember sitting on the bench in Milwaukee when Ellie stole home, and I'm watching him, and I can see that he's going to do it. And I'm like grabbing, I think it was Steve-O Stevenson was sitting next to me, and I'm grabbing and I'm shaking him, and he's kind of looking, and here he goes, and he steals home. And it's just like, we went bananas in our dugout. And it was just things like that. Like, I think everyone was really pulling in the same direction, and, we were having fun, and we have just a great group of kids that I think pull for one another. And man, I think if you can get that in Major League Baseball, like you've got a lot of stuff that you can look forward to that's going to be pretty positive.
All right, 2018, Game 7, we lose, we go home, we get hugs, and you text me that you have a great opportunity to go to Cincinnati. That is more than an opportunity that is anywhere else. Fast forward to 2023, and your boy CC, Craig Counsell, has a very similar opportunity. Now, you set the market for pitching coaches because of an opportunity that the Reds saw in you. What do you feel about Counsell's decision to not only go in the same division? The Reds-Brewers rivalry is just a tick smaller than the Cubs-Brewers rivalry.
Well, you know that as well as I do, right? I would just quantify everything by saying that his contract's got a couple more zeros than mine had, but awesome for him, dude. Like, that's such a cool thing. And I saw him. He was in Cincinnati watching his youngest son play. He plays at the University of Michigan. They were playing a fall game against University of Kentucky. So I went out and watched, and he happened to be there. We talked for 2 or 3 hours, and he was talking about all of this then. He made no mention of the Cubs, which, maybe there wasn't anything there at the time. But, I look at it, I think he was right. And, he was talking about the same things that he talked about in his interviews after they hired him. And he did. He tried to help, coaches in the future make more money, which, the players are doing a great job of that. Hopefully the coaches can start to kind of push in that direction too. And so, by counts doing that, certainly for coaches, it's got to help. But, I'm happy for him. I think he's a great manager. I think he's a great guy. I think he's easy to play for. He's definitely easy to work for. And like he's definitely kind of breaking the mold in terms of like maybe what we're going to see here in the very near future.
So we've seen some guys leave MLB and go back to college. Wes Johnson, right?
Yep.
What's the way to get these guys to stay? Why? Like you left college, came to professional ball, but you see guys going back now because the money, the home, you're in one place for the whole time. You're staying there. All you have to really do, especially if you're the head coach, all you got to do is send your lackeys out there to recruit. And you're like, oh, let me see him one time in camp, right? So how do we get guys to want to be coaches in Major League Baseball? Is it upping coaches' salary? Is it giving them more authority? What's the way to make these guys want to stay?
I think the salary is a big piece of it. And I think you have to look at it even further than just, the major leagues. Like, there's a ton of really, really good minor league coaches that are very poorly paid in a lot of ways. So the minor league coach who's, making X can go to a college, do the same exact job, be home, way more, and then make double that. That's where we have to get to, I think, because that's what we're losing. We're losing these really quality minor league coaches. They're going back into college. They're making more money. And so we have to be able to compete with that. I don't think the authority part of it is probably the thing that's needed. I'm not sure that there are very many coaches who feel like they need more authority. I think once you work in professional baseball for even just a couple of years, you understand really fast that there are levels, kind of, and we all kind of say, hey, stay in your rail, and stay in your lane. And so you understand really quickly that there's a lot of pieces that go into, who are going to get in the draft, who are going to get internationally, what we're going to spend on acquisition wise. And so to me, it's almost like you relent that. You don't, it doesn't even bother you anymore. It's like, hey, we got this guy. Okay, now what? What do we do with him? But I do think that the salaries would help. I think, if you're looking at what the players are making, and of course, minor league baseball players aren't making a ton, so I understand that. But at the same time, like if you're looking in comparison and players playing coaches coach, but coaches have to be compensated, and they have to be compensated in a way that they feel like, hey, this team, they respect me and they want me here. And so it can probably come in a couple different ways, not only salary, but just years, of on a contract. A lot of guys are still working on a 1-year contract. And I worked on a 1-year contract for a few years too in professional baseball. So it's tough, when you're making what you're making and you're not exactly sure what's going to happen next year. You go to college, you're making more, and chances are, unless you do something really foolish, like you're going to be there again next year. So I just think if we can even that part of it out, we'll keep more coaches happy.
Very well stated, and it is definitely possible. Like the game is doing well, so I'm with
Feels
you there.
like it.
Yeah, it certainly feels like it. It looks like it. We know we're at the games. People are there. The contracts are healthy. On that note, actually, so far your team has brought on 2 pretty big name veteran pitchers, right? So I'm sure you've already dug into what you've seen from them, if not also maybe given your opinion, that helped to sign Nick Martinez and Emilio Pagan. So curious to get your take on those 2. And my only follow-up, because I'll mix this in based on time, for Pagan is he is a fly ball pitcher. How do you counter that in your ballpark?
Well, I'll start with that because it's maybe the easiest place to start. There's a lot of fly ball pitchers, and our park is pretty homer prone. And so we're definitely not going to try to turn him into a ground ball pitcher. We're not going to move his usage around, unless there's something that we think can really help him. The way I look at our park is home runs are going to happen. What we have to chase, at least in our ballpark and probably with our staff, is we have to chase a lot of strikes, but we also have to chase miss. And we know that home runs are going to happen. We feel like if we throw enough strikes, we don't walk people, which we've been probably not as good as what we need to be. We also are pretty young. But I think if we throw the ball across the plate and we can learn how to make guys miss the ball, to me, that's the best remedy in our ballpark. And I think Pagan can do that. I think Nick can do that as well. And so it's really just kind of taking that thought process and saying, okay, if we throw the ball across the plate a lot, if we can figure out how to make guys miss, and then when they do hit, how do we make them miss hit, or I guess kind of limit damage, limit hard hit percentage and things like that. Well, then we're in business. And I think, both guys have shown that they have the ability to do that somewhat, and maybe we can exploit, them to do it even more. But Pagan's been around. He started using his fastball more last year, which he says made all of the difference in the world. For me, him coming in, I want him to use his fastball. That's fine. That sounds like a really good idea to me. And then we'll figure out the rest as we go. With Nick, it's the Swiss Army appeal. I mean, he can start, he can relieve. He's done them both, and he's done them both well. And I think for where we're at right now, we do need sort of that swing guy that we can kind of count on. I'll build him as a starter in spring training because I think it's the right thing to do. And then we'll kind of figure out where that fits. But both guys serve good purpose. Pagan can pitch at the end of the game, whatever that looks like. And I think Nick probably could too. So, I think we have two guys that are pretty versatile. And I think versatility for us, especially with all these young guys that we have, I think that's a really important piece for us.
DJ, I had to ask. I mean, future Hall of Famer Joey Votto. I know you had the last few years with him, which seems like it's as a fan, the coolest years of his career as he opened up a little bit. Obviously, the first 15 years of his career, I don't think he said 15 words, but how was it being around him, his aura, obviously his work ethic, just being around Votto? I grew up with him in the minor leagues and came up with him and played against him so many times. And what was your experiences with him?
He would sit on the bench with me occasionally, and we would chat about whatever. And that was the coolest part. Like, there were just these unique things that he would ask me. Some were, at first kind of strange. It took me back a little bit, saying, I don't really know how to answer this. Is this a trick question? What do you got? But he's a very, very deep thinker. He's calculated in a good way. I don't mean that in any sort of negative way. But to watch how he works in spring training, to listen to how he talks to the younger players, to be around him and to be able to talk baseball. Like, we talked about different pitchers. We talked about, how his swing and when it feels right and what that means to him. So I learned a lot from him, and it was just fun because it was always a little bit different. You never knew exactly where it was going to go. But it was always unique. And I always walked away from it going like, that was cool. Like, I didn't know it was going to be cool. That was cool. And I thought that's what Joey brought as much as anything. I think he's really good. He's really underrated in terms of how he talked to young players. And I think he had to work at doing that. Like, it's not necessarily his nature, but he took it upon himself to do that. So, for all intents and purposes, for me, like, the last 3 or 4 years with him has been just a really cool experience, and one that I'm really happy that I had a chance to be around him, because it was a lot of fun and I learned a lot.
All right. Last one from me. We got to say bye after this. Look, you got to take care of Suitor B, okay? The guy lives in Cincinnati. He would fit really well. You said the word Swiss Army knife. Call the Reds, whoever the guy is that's making the decision. Be like, Suitor B wants 2 years, 13 mil.
Grazie. It's funny, man. I mean, and I'm with you for sure. Do you remember when I called him the artist? And he looked at me and I said, most people paint with a brush and, they paint a picture. I'm like, you just take the whole can of paint, throw it up against the canvas. It's like art. And that's him in a nutshell. Like that dude, you have no idea how he does it. And you look up and he's got a 3.5 and he's done fine all year long. He can start for you. He can be a reliever. He can pitch at a moment's notice. I love the guy. Clubhouse wise, he's the best. He does live in Cincinnati. Would love to see him with us. At the same time, got to stay in your lane. But I have definitely talked about him.
Get it done. Get it done. All right, DJ.
That should be.
Are we going to add that to the title then, Kratzy?
Sure. Pitching recruiter, coordinator, director of pitching philosophy, jargon.
All of which is to mean nothing, really, right? Gotcha.
No, it just means, hey, more names in your name title, right. More cash in your pocket, more years guaranteed. You're the Shohei of the pitching coaches. All right, DJ?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd do that. I don't know if I could defer that much.
Good call.
Like, holy wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, man. Like that dude's set for a long time. Yeah.
Derek, awesome to have you on here for the first time. Really appreciate it. Great conversation, and hope to do it again sometime. Enjoy the rest of the offseason, man.
Thanks, guys. It was really cool being here.
Thank you. Derek Johnson with us, director of pitching over at Cincinnati. Obviously, you've been doing a great job with that pitching staff for a long time. And Mr. Jones, we are going to say goodbye to you.
Yep, I got to go find some truffle.
You got to go do a little.
We took a gondola today, and for some odd reason, my side was like this a little bit more. So I need to maybe not go get the truffle and walk.
Yeah, stay out of them truffles one time. Unbelievable. You don't have to drink just because red wine is all over Venice doesn't mean you need to be drinking all the red wine.
They got the in the windows, ding 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 ding. Just stick your hand in, and somebody just give you a nice glass of red wine.
Man, one time, stay out of the spread, big fella. All those MLB, like whatever they are, buffets that you go to, like, oh, hey guys, what's going on? Oh, hi, Rob Manfred. Yeah, give me some more food. I'll take extra truffles.
Oh, yeah. Those sweets. You don't have no truffle in the sweets. That might be something I talk to them about. Get truffle.
He needs truffle, caviar, not just the sushi and the sweets. Go have fun, man. Good to see you. Right. Catch you soon.
Good to see you guys. All right.
Cheers. So coming up next in just a sec, Kyle Higashioka joining us. Really perfect timing to have him on. Obviously, he just got traded, just had a great run with the Yanks, but now joins a Padres team that I'm pretty curious about. I wonder what they look like this coming year, because on paper they looked so good last year. And obviously they fell short of the postseason, but they still have a lot of stars despite losing Soto, because they gained the star who is ready to join us right now on FTLive, Kyle Higashioka of the San Diego Padres. When I say your name, Higgy, I want to say Kyle Higashioka of the New York Yankees. And it was weird for me just now to say that. So does it feel weird?
Well, I think the first mistake was referring to me as a star, but yeah, it feels a little weird, but I'm really looking forward to it. It's I can't wait to be on the West Coast, and I think this is a really good team I'm going into, so I'm excited.
Okay, so you know why you're a Padre, right? Besides the trade? It wasn't long ago. It was a couple days before you got traded. Your boy, Kratz, asked somebody, do you know who the longest tenured Yankee was?
Tommy K.
Tommy Canely. He got it right, and then bam, next day. Higashioka gone. So, you need to yell at your boy Kratz for sending you to San Diego. If you wanted to stay in New York, which I'm assuming you did, but it's Kratz's fault.
Yeah. No, they've been saying that for a couple of years now. So I don't think he jinxed anything. But yeah, it's crazy. Especially after so many years with the same organization. It's definitely going to be different, but it'll be the first time I'm the new guy in the clubhouse, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. The only reason you got traded was because you can actually grow a beard now. All the years that we were roommates, you didn't have to really abide by the Yankees no shave policy. You can actually grow a beard now. So this is why they finally were able to trade you and push you out of the Yankees nest.
Oh, I still don't think I'm gonna grow a beard. I feel like that's a little maybe a little too cliche for first year outside
Look
the
at
Yankees.
yourself. Look at yourself. Look at how you look. You would never talk to Jean Mafferman if she saw you with that muck on your face.
Yeah, well, this is just laziness.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Hey, you got the same football that I have hanging up in my house behind you there.
Oh yeah, the Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Did you look to trade it last year? Did you look to sell? Did you look
Oh
at your
man.
teammate? He probably took one of your at bats too that year in spring training.
He definitely took a few of my BP swings.
Yeah. That's not fair.
But Odell Beckham took my BP swings back in like 2018 too. He was hitting in Group 3 with us, and I think Neil Walker said he was never going to draft him again because he took like 20 swing rounds.
Odell did?
Yeah, he was putting him over the fence. I mean,
Really?
he's an incredible athlete. But yeah, me and Neil were a little
Little miff.
maybe a little upset that we didn't get to hit in Group 3 that day.
All right, Higgy, listen. You're now a Padre, okay? And there's been reports out that Yoshinobu Yamamoto wants to play with a Japanese player. Are you part of the pitch to get Yamamoto to the Padres?
Wasn't that chalked up to a mistranslation?
It was, but it doesn't matter. I want to know if you are I want to know if you are part of the selling point of getting Yamamoto with all the extensive Japanese that you have learned since playing with Masa. And actually, this is serious, that you actually tried to learn Japanese and learned a good amount. In my opinion, a good amount. Way more than I ever learned.
I think Darvish has that covered for us. Way more Japanese than I am.
No.
But no, I mean that'd be phenomenal to get a pitcher of his quality. So I think it's definitely going to be. He has a tough decision in front of him, but I would really love working with him.
So, Higgy, take me through the whole process here of how it went down. Did you get a final phone call? Is it Cashman that calls you? Did you have a little chit chat with Booney? I mean, also you were with the team for so long, so you're not getting traded with Hug Watch during July, but you want to kind of like do the closure of thank you so much. This was awesome, the whole deal. So what was that like?
Yeah, I think right when it became official, Cashman called me. He was the first one, and nothing but good things to say. And I mean, I've got nothing but good things to say about the Yankees organization. I pretty much owe them my entire career. They gave me a ton of opportunities, even when I really sucked in the minor leagues. They still stuck with me and allowed me to kind of develop into a big league ball player. So, I've got nothing but good things to say about that organization, and he had only positive things to say as well. So, but yeah, talk to Booney, talk to Judge, Riz, all the guys, it's kind of it's definitely sad to leave the guys that you've been with for so long. But like I said again, I couldn't be more excited to be a Padre too.
Did you get kicked out? Did you get notifications? Did you get kicked out of some of the threads from the boys with the Yankees?
No, I sent a text and then I left the group chat myself.
So everybody else got a message that Kyle Higashioka left the chat.
Yeah. When it's time, you got to move on.
So you cut the cord. They didn't. Was that sad for you when you hit the final leave? Did you shed a tear because you have never cried in your life? You don't cry as much as I cry.
No, I didn't shed a tear. I just, I I don't know. I don't really cry.
What do you
Sad.
remember? Do you remember the Christmas card that I sent you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember? Could you tell everybody, all of our FT team, how I joked my wife into spelling your last name?
Oh, it was brutal. But
She
me and
put
my
it
wife,
on the Christmas card.
we laughed about it so hard, and then we laughed again when we realized how upset your wife must have been about it.
Yes, we added in probably 5 extra letters, but anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Hey, Higgy, what happened with especially now that you're gone, what happened to the Yanks last year? Like, what was the number one reason why they didn't make the playoffs?
For us, it was just the consistency. I mean, all of us at some point had times where we were playing well. But I think, when we were hitting well, we weren't pitching, and when we were pitching well, we weren't hitting. And then, when one guy got hot, everyone else was cold, and vice versa. So it was just kind of like a year of like, I think we were just lacking that consistent level of performance that we needed, and we had that all the way up until May, June, whatever. And I mean, it just it was kind of a really weird and difficult year for everyone, I think, except for maybe Garrett.
Higgy, you cut the cord, right, with the Yankees. So now we're going to move on to your new team, the Padres. They didn't have the best year either. There was a lot of expectations. Scooter Braun, our guy on this, he picked them to win the World Series and do all these things, and they struggled all year. So have you reached out to any of them? Have you talked to any Padres guys? Has Mike Schilt reached out to you, Preller? And have you started watching video of your new pitchers?
Yeah. So AJ called me probably the day after the trade happened, because I think it happened at like 9:30 at night. So he ended up calling me the day after, and I talked to Schilte and catching coach, pitching coach, all that, all the the strength coaches. I mean, I think they were kind of in a similar boat to the Yankees last year. It's kind of like maybe some inconsistencies and things didn't exactly go their way, but under the surface, I think there is a lot to be positive about. So nonetheless, we've still got a great lineup and superstar players. There's Manny, Musgrove, Machado, or I mean Tatis, Bogarts. All those guys are phenomenal players. The lineup looks fantastic, and so I think it's really going to be a bounce back year.
You were dealt with pitchers. You're the hitter that goes back over, right? You're the position player. Do you feel like you have to fill Juan Soto's shoes?
I don't think anyone's really asking me to do that. I will do my best though.
Well, haven't you had an exact 10 homers a year the last, is it 3 years?
Yeah.
Can we get 11?
I'm shooting for the stars
20?
this year.
What's the number? What's in your head?
You never know. I don't know. It's I don't like to put a number on it because I know when I try to hit homers, I stink. So I just hope they happen. But yeah, I don't want to put a number on it. I'm just I think we got a great lineup, and I'm really excited to just be a part of it.
Have you talked to Darvish yet?
No, I haven't really reached out to any of the guys yet. Just trying to get everything sorted out with the logistical stuff first, and talking to the coaches and trying to get set up with some of the analytics stuff so I can start studying the pitchers and all that.
All right, so I caught him in 2013. I have some advice for you. And he'll never listen to you in a million years. Make him throw his fastball, and he'll just go. until you get to the slider, and then because I caught him over 10 years ago, and he wanted to strike everybody out. He's changed a little bit. He also had 99, 100 back in the day. Now he's only 95, 96, but every time fastball. Okay, slider. Yeah. So just try to get him to throw his fastball. I've been telling him that for 10 plus years now. He hasn't listened yet. Maybe you're the guy that can get him to do it.
You never know. I do love calling the fastball, though.
That's good. Well, you're catching Garrett Cole every time, that works.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And coming from a staff where, it's maybe the hardest throwing staff in the league and everyone's got sinkers. You got to throw the fastball. So, but yeah, I'll have to adjust and learn these new guys, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
Are you also looking forward to playing the Dodgers more frequently now that they got so much worse, adding that Shohei Ohtani guy? How's that going to be?
Yeah, it'll be a challenge, but I think the teams in the AL East have been as good over the past several years as anybody. So it's just like anything. You got to learn their strengths and weaknesses. You got to match them up with the pitcher's strengths and weaknesses, and kind of use your eyes from there, and read swings, read the game. It's the best hitter in the world still gets out almost 70% of the time. So it's about just finding that.
So Kratz, I'm trying to look this up quick. Maybe you can help me out because I'm not sure where he is in terms of the salary scale right now. Is Higgy going to make more than Ohtani this coming season?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Especially with the way that Victor Caratini changed the market for catchers who don't play 140 games. Yeah, you definitely. I know you saw that, Higgy, as you're coming into free agency. You're going to make more than Shohei. Just like the 1 year that I played in Lackey, I made more than John Lackey. That was a great year. So you'll be able to hold that over Shohei when he comes up to the plate. You'll say "Ohayou gozaimasu," and then just go like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, maybe the standard now for me going forward is I need to make more than Ohtani.
Make it happen.
Dude, for the next 10 years, you can do it. I believe in you. But 10 years from now, I don't believe in you.
I'm not sure I believe in myself either for that.
Yeah.
68 mil starting at what was the year, 2032? I feel like you're going to be making less than him by then.
You never know, but you might be right.
You might. If Josh Bard has his way, you'll be making very close. That's a whole nother story. Inside joke. Josh Bard said 1 year he's going to be a $20 million catcher. Higgy, when he got sent down, and Higgy's like, you'll never believe what they just told me in my meeting when I got sent down to the bushes. He's like, they told me I'm going to be a $20 million a year catcher. Higgy's like, that makes me mad because I don't even think he knows who I am.
I love that.
I appreciated the belief.
In spring training, you look like you were going to make $20 million a year. You look like you were going to hit 60 homers before Judgy hit 60 homers. Do you feel like you need to do that when you go into camp with the Padres? Your first ever Arizona spring training?
I heard the ball flies there. But yeah. Spring training, I've learned not to really take that into stock much. I think that year we were together and I hit 7 homers and 40 at bats. I must have started the season, the entire first half of the season. I think I had a 400 OPS. So it shows you how much that matters.
It wasn't your best, but that's okay.
Nope.
Spring training, you kind of sprinted out of the gates, and then. But I was there for your 3 homer game during the COVID season, and I remember thinking, okay, is Kyle Higashioka going to go to a team that has a smaller left center field? And now look, 4 years later, 3.5 years later, you go to a place where now those doubles to left center are going to be dingers. So can we put it at 12-12-23 right now? Kyle Higashioka will be the National League representative at catcher in the All-Star game.
Well, I mean, honestly, that's as far-fetched as some people might think every year. I mean, that's always my goal. So, it's about consistency, though. I've played well for a week. I played well for a month. I played well for a half a season. But the trick is doing it day in, day out, and that's what the great players do, and that's what's so hard to figure out in this game. And so, yeah, I mean, that's my goal every single year. But obviously, it hasn't happened yet.
Did you almost hit 4 that game? Some fans in the chat right away are like, he almost got a 4th.
Yeah, I flew out to the track and left center on my second at bat.
You think about that?
Yeah. Actually, the funny thing is, at that point, I hadn't walked in like 100 plate appearances. So going into my last, and it was a thing. It became a thing in the clubhouse. And so going into my last at bat, they brought in we were up by like 10 runs. They brought in a guy who was making his debut. He was a little scattered. I think first pitch I got was a slider that was bounced in the left-handed batter's box, and I kind of thought to myself like, wow, this is my chance to walk. I can do this. And then, how when you're, you guys know when you're swinging it well, the ball looks like it takes about an hour to get to the plate. And in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm walking, this is great. And this guy threw like a 97-mile-an-hour fastball down and in. And I felt like I had all the time to think, you know what? Maybe I will swing at this pitch. And it just, I don't know. I just clipped it to right center, and it went out. So I was like, 3 homers is better than walking.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, you made a bad choice, but in that moment, it worked out. And then like 63 other times, you made the same choice, and you rolled it off of your left shin guard.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. But you had the glory of hitting the 3 home runs. How much did you hold that over Judgy until he had his first 3 home run game?
Oh, all the time. Anytime they show like a highlight of it, or Rizzo's too. Me and Riz would give him crap, and then he did it twice last year, so that was kind of he definitely showed us who's boss. But
that's a buzzkill. What's it like knowing that now Judgy's the longest tenured Yankee? You guys came up together. You obviously were in the org earlier, but you guys were very close.
Mm-hmm.
What would it be like for him to win a World Series this year?
Oh, I mean, that's pretty much, his only objective every year. And quite frankly, that's really the only thing he hasn't accomplished in baseball. And so, knowing him, I know he's going to do whatever it takes to win that World Series, and he's going to push his teammates as hard as it takes to try to win. But, now that I'm out of there, I'm going to be doing the same for my team.
Yeah, so he can't now. So your friend can't win one. All right, last one real quick. All these dudes get traded or signed somewhere, and you see Shohei in his stance, and he's in his Dodgers uniform. I looked everywhere. I can't find you in one superimposed Padres uniform anywhere. What's the deal with that?
No, it's on the Padres Instagram.
You think I have Instagram? You see this face? I'm not on Instagram. Now,
it's
if it was
just like
on
a
MySpace
headshot
or something.
Yeah, it's just like a headshot, but
I mean the full uni.
I'm not sure. I was on social media a lot. I posted a farewell video and whatnot, but other than that, I'm not really on very much.
Should they have you when you come back to Yankee Stadium? Should they do a thank you video for Kyle Higashioka?
Yes, they should.
I don't think so.
Yes.
Why not?
They did one for Ryan Brazier at the same time as Mookie Betts last year in Boston. Come on, Higgy. You're Ryan Brazier status in the Bronx.
Yeah, but didn't they both win the World Series?
So?
That's a little different.
I mean, anyone that wins a World Series gets a video tribute, even if they played for 5 minutes. No, dude, you were a contributor for a long time to the org. I don't. Sometimes I'm sarcastic. I'm not even being sarcastic. I think when you come back, you get a video. Like I'm taking the over on that. That's happening.
I don't know. We'll see.
Do you want one? If they came to you and said, "Hey, we might do one. Like, if it's cool with you." Can we do a little thing and a little tip?
Well, I mean, we don't go there this year, so by 2025 they'll probably just forget about it.
No way, dude. The chat right now is like bumping. Everyone's saying on the way out, please tell Higgy we appreciate him, we miss him. I'm not even kidding. AJ, go in the chat right now. Tell him. They're like, we miss him, we appreciate him. They loved having you there. They appreciate what you did with some of the pitching staff, obviously, as well. There were a lot of dudes that really shined during your time period. So they're tipping their cap to you right now.
No, I saw like there was a huge amount of support on social media from the fans, and I honestly I had no idea that I had so many people liked me or whatever. So, I'm incredibly grateful, and I'll always cherish my time in New York. So, I mean, it's incredible to have that outcry of support from them.
I'll finish with this. I mean, a couple fans said they did a tribute for Aaron Hicks. So you're good, Higgy. You're in. You're getting one. Okay. It's lock.
I don't need to, we don't need to celebrate me.
It's not up to you. They're going to do it because if they don't do it, fans will be pissed and we'll be talking about it the next day. Fans will be like, how did they not do one for Higgy? And then they'll start going through all the people that have gotten one in the past on their team, on other teams. So you just got to embrace it. The video team's already working hard on it. They've got cool, super nerdy new graphics for it. So just get ready for it. 2025. Dude, congratulations. Yeah, but congratulations on joining a new ball club out there. And I know also we didn't get to it, but close to home. And I know Mom and the fam are probably pretty pumped about it. So we're excited to see you in a Padres uniform and go get this team back in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to be a Padre. I can't wait to play in San Diego and be closer to home. So it'll be good. I mean, like I said before, I'm just looking at the roster. It's lined with star players, and so I'm really excited to get started.
And we can't wait, dude. One of our people behind the scenes just put you in an AI to put you in a Padres uniform. It's fresh. We'll show it. Kratz will text it to you. Go ahead, Kratz.
I got one more. Higgy, do you realize there's still one category that I have you in the big leagues? I have a statistical category that I'm higher than you in.
Triples?
Nope. Do you not have a triple?
Stolen bases? I don't have a triple or a stolen base.
Oh, man. I have one stolen base, but no triples. So I am ahead of you, Hig. Come on. Let's get this done. All the RBI kids from Compton are counting on you, okay? You need to get this done.
I'm running wild this year.
Go crazy.
That's going to be the headline everywhere right now, right? When news is slow and there aren't many transactions right now, tomorrow, top page of every MLB site, I'm running wild next year. Good stuff, dude. Good talking to you. Appreciate you. Enjoy the offseason, man. We'll see you in spring training.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. This is great.
Thank you. It was awesome. Kyle Higashioka with us on FTLive. Right? That's the headline. I'm running wild this year. Let's slap. Erik Tats. What do you got for us?
The old wrong side. The old Cooperstown Classic, Syracuse Sky Chiefs.
That's it? No description, no nothing? Just going to say the name?
That's it. I figured AJ would be like, I played in the Cooperstown Classic.
No, I'm not playing that.
You didn't play in that? It was the Hall of Fame game that they used to have during this. They changed it to the Cooperstown Classic.
I played there after I was retired. That don't count. I never played there when I was playing.
Oh, you never played during the season?
No chance, dude. They killed that shit.
No. It was 2000. It was 2006 or 7. I think 2007.
Yeah, you were in AAA. I was winning World Series. No.
No. They flew the Orioles in. They flew the Blue Jays in.
Oh,
they all played one inning, and then those dudes beat it, and then the AAA guys played.
No, we didn't do any of that stuff.
Brutal.
Not during the year. We did it in like spring training, but we never did it during the year.
And you played in the game though after.
Yeah, after I was retired, I played in the Hall of Fame game, but that was after I was retired.
Yeah.
Although I didn't officially retire, so maybe that counts.
Maybe you were the only active player ever in the Hall of Fame game.
True.
He never retired, so I tell people that, we have a current player host. And they're like, who? And I'm like, AJ Pierzynski. And they're like, didn't he retire? I'm like, no, he didn't announce it. He might play.
Right.
There's no
Never
paperwork.
announced it.
Jackie Bradley Jr. said that. Remember, this report came out and we had him on the other day, and he's like, I didn't retire. I might come back. I want him to spite everyone and come back so bad.
That'd be great.
Like, stop with the fake news reporters. I'm freaking playing. If you have a question, ask me. Anyway, this one's for AJ. We have the College Football Bowl Pick'em Challenge. Obviously, there's not baseball games right now, but there are college football games for existing BetMGM Sportsbook account holders. BetMGM is giving our customers on BetMGM the opportunity to win a grand prize of up to $25,000 if they predict the most college football bowl games against the spread correctly out of the eligible users. Log into the app, go to the promotions tab, hit up the College Football Bowl Pick'em Challenge, complete and submit the challenge entry, one entry per customer. You don't need to make those selections all at once. They can be made on games up until kickoff for each game. And then you have the opportunity to win up to $25,000 if you predict the most college football games against the spread correctly out of the eligible users. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You know who you're not going to bet on?
Boy. Who? What? I know nothing. Not nothing, but not much. You're my college football guy. So I'm not going to bet on Florida State winning the.
Nailed it when they play Michigan. You nailed it.
Let's go.
You're not going to bet on them because they're not playing Michigan because they got
exactly.
Hard. Go Roll Tide.
AJ, I need you to help me with my picks so I can win that $25,000.
Oof. I can find some other people that are way better at it than me.
I don't know anything about. It's all just against the spread, and
it's hard, man. It's hard.
It is crazy. It is
especially
crazy.
In college because you don't know who's playing and who's not playing. Like a lot of teams,
you can start filling it out already on the BetMGM site.
No, but what I'm saying is like there's college, like Jaden Daniels might not play because he doesn't want to hurt his draft stock. So like players opt out at the last minute, so you have no idea who's playing and who's not playing. It is hard in college right now. Mm-hmm. But try it; it's worth a free shot.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but that was my question to sound cool with people the other day. I was like, what do you guys think about Florida State?
Mm-hmm.
And then I just listened. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's like somebody being like, hey, what about that, trying to connect with Scott? Hey, what about that Shohei guy and his money? That's neat.
I explained it to my aunt this morning. A little coffee, and she's like, so tell me about Ohtani. I said, how much time do you have?
When will be the first day we have a show we don't talk about him since he signed?
I just was going to stop freaking following my sentences or finishing them. I was going to say maybe tomorrow, Wednesday.
Isn't his press conference tomorrow, though?
Yeah. No, it's Thursday.
Oh, so we're not going to not talk about him until at least next week.
Well, we're going to talk about him either Thursday or Friday, depending on what time that press conference is. But let's try
tomorrow.
Yamamoto tomorrow. Let's see.
Yeah, but tomorrow we'll have to say, Ohtani's press conference is tomorrow. Then Thursday, his press conference is today. And then Friday, the 3 questions he answers in his press conference where he gets up and walks out. And then maybe next week.
Some people are like, AJ's jealous that he doesn't have a $700 million contract. I'm like, yeah,
Hell
he is.
yeah, I am.
He is
But
fucking
who's
jealous.
not? Everybody else. Hell yeah.
Jealous.
I mean, jeez.
Come on.
Of course they're jealous.
See everyone on Wednesday on FTLive. Appreciate you, fam. Subscribe if you don't already. Hit the like button. See you Wednesday.
The Guggenheims aren't jealous. That's who.